back on WFNC 640 AM. This is Talkin Real Estate with Team Harris. And today, of course, if you've been listening, you know we have a great crowd. We've got candidates for City Council, Deno, Hondros, and Peter Pappas. Congratulations, you have made it both through the primary and into the general. And we have incumbent Councilman Antonio Jones with us, who also made it through the primary and on to the general election. So we already have 3 successful realtors and also 3 successful candidates as well with us. And just before the show, we were talking about the perception of the value of a realtor and sort of, you know, what we see out there versus, or what we hear, and what the you know, what it actually, what we do, what value we bring. And Deno, I cut you off just before the break. So if you still remember what you were going to say, I'd love to give you the opportunity right now, sir.
Well, I'd love to back up to something tremendous you said, Wendy, earlier about the pledges we make as realtors to follow the code of ethics, where we don't discriminate for race, color, creed, you know, handicap, gender identity, all of those things. In addition to cooperation, being transparent, and further than that, conflict resolution. So all of these pledges transfer, at least in my mind, seamlessly from clients to constituents and citizens that, you know, one day we'll all represent. So it's that same mindset of service. You know, we're here as realtors providing a service for the public in the private sector. And as an elected official, you know, I don't like to think of politicians, at least if District 9 blessed me and deemed me worthy of representing District 9, of being an elected official more so than a public servant. So my whole purpose in going into it is I have experience, I have other things that I can offer, and it's time to give back to my city and my community that I love. That's the main thing there, as far as you said, being realtors versus someone that's committed and paid the dues, made the pledges to be a realtor, versus someone that got a real estate license that's just, you know, practicing real estate.
So an interesting thing you brought up, Deno, and because I want to make a point of this, because I don't think a lot of people listening are going to be aware of this. But last year, the National Association of Realtors officially modified the code of ethics to say, hey, if you're a realtor and therefore you're living under this code of ethics, guess what? You're a realtor 24/7. You don't work normal office hours. Everywhere you go in the world, people are going to ask you about the real estate market. And as soon as you start talking about it, you are now acting within the profession. You don't get a personal opinion. You're speaking as a realtor. And so you now are held to that code of ethics 24/7. That means everything you post on social media. It means what we say on this radio show. It means what I send out in emails to people, what I stand on a corner and yell, what I rant in a bar, you know, whatever the case may be. I keep saying me because I don't want to use anyone else as an example. Tell me the last time you saw me in a bar, and, you know, it's been a while. But the code of ethics now expands to every moment that we are living, and we're a realtor member. Now, this is interesting because people may say, oh, you know, we got 3 realtors running for city council. Yes, we do. And they are all beholden to that code of ethics, even when they're acting as a city council person. Because guess what? They choose to be a realtor, and the realtor code of ethics trumps all. So ain't no lying, no cheating, no, you know, canoodling, no whatever, you know, analogy you want to use.
They are an honest dealing for everybody.
Because not only will people maybe not elect you, but you could really be held to that code of ethics as a realtor, and be held accountable to that as well. And so I actually think, you know, it's a natural connection from real estate to participating in things like city or county government, especially when it's related to policies that are going to impact the residences from a building, zoning, developing, property value, tax. You know,
it's very fluid from what we know. And it's not, you know, the code of ethics is not for me a punitive thing. It's just what we know and what we do. And now we're transitioning and taking that knowledge and taking it to public service.
You don't view it as punitive, Peter, because you abide by it.
Correct.
Well, yeah, if you follow
you're
it,
not
yeah,
gonna
well,
abide by
sure.
it,
I
can
mean, you
certainly
can
be
get in
punitive,
trouble,
but
but you know,
you
it's
do
not,
what
I
most
mean,
of us
we're not,
do.
we're not practicing every day under fear of, because we know
Exactly.
you
Right.
can't do certain things and you shouldn't. And if your
Shouldn't.
heart's not in, if your heart is even compelled to do the anti things,
There you
then
go.
do it. Go
Yeah.
do used car
I think we're
sales.
all champions
know?
of small business. And I tell people all the time, if
Yes.
you've ever owned and operated a small business, those entrepreneurs, they live that business. They sleep it, breathe it, eat it. I mean, you are that business, and that business is you, or an extension of you. And this is the same thing, talking about the ethics. We live it. You know, there's no turning it off, even if we could. So you never know what's in someone's heart, or what someone's ultimate motivation or agenda may or may not be. But for me, you know, what's my ultimate goal? Not in running for office or in real estate, but in life. My goal is to save my soul. So every single thing I do in life, whether it's professional, whether it's familial, whether it's religious, whether it's running for public office, is how is this going to make me a better person to help me achieve my ultimate goal? Because, you know, everyone believes in whatever they believe, and we all have a faith. But, you know, I believe that the life here on earth is fleeting. It's finite. There's a starting time and an ending time, and none of us know when that is. And it's potentially different for all of us. But what we do on this earth, I heard an interesting quote, service to others is the rent we pay for living on this earth. And the rent's due every day. And that's a magnificent quote. And I don't know if that was Muhammad Ali or who that quote came from. And I probably screwed it up and paraphrased it, but
It sounded good.
Yeah,
It came out
it's a
good.
great quote. And that's it. How can I leave this world for my 10-year-old son, soon to be 11 on June 1st, better than when I was 11?
Well,
So
that's my thing, is the purpose of life is to leave this earth a little bit better than it was when you got here, because if you don't, then you really had no purpose on this earth.
That's right.
And I have more faith that the earth will be left in a better place with the three of you doing what you can, you know, on that local level, and seeing that, you know, we're in crisis like most of the country, and but it's a housing crisis. It's not one that's a disease that's going to overwhelm the hospitals. But guess what? When people don't have safe homes to live in, and when I say safe, I mean they've got a roof, they've got walls, they've got windows, they feel comfortable there, they feel like they have a life there, then health does actually get impacted. The three of you know, I've worked with Habitat for years. I know the true value of owning a home because I've worked in it for so long.
Yes.
As far as getting people into home ownership for the first time in their lives. And it changes generations. It makes people healthier. It makes them less inclined to criminal acts. It reduces teen pregnancy. It increases graduation rates in high school. It reduces dropout rates. There's so many things that real estate does. And Peter, you made a joke about we're opportunists. You know, but if
we
you made
take
a
on
joke
assignments at any opportunity, but you know, my compensation
we see
is,
opportunity.
think about the conversation you get from Habitat. It's fulfilling. What have I learned running on the campaign is meeting people in the community and being in learning. You know, it doesn't have to happen in a church. People that feed the homeless, people that are doing outreach to other people just for the sake of doing it. That's very fulfilling. That's as good as a paycheck.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm an opportunist. I'll take all these opportunities. Like I've been telling everybody.
Antonio, I mean, I know you want to continue to serve on city council because first of all, they pay you gazillions of dollars and it's making you independently wealthy doing it.
Oh yeah.
And of course you only spend about 10 hours a week on it and get paid crazy amounts of money, right? Or do you do it because every once in a while someone says thank you?
That's it right there. That's exactly where I was going, just to piggyback off everyone else. What we do, as we talked about this a little bit earlier, as realtors, what we do for our clients behind the scenes, that, you know, we keep them informed, but the things that we do, you know, negotiating with the, let's say, home inspections, for example, you know, walking them through that and working through possible tidewater situations where the house doesn't appraise out what you've offered for. So I like to tie that into what Peter said about it being fluid. because there are a lot of things that we do as realtors. There will be a lot of things that we do in elected office or whatever capacity, whether, like you said, in your church, your local community, your organization, you with Habitat, that some people will never see, but it's getting done because the results will manifest. And I like to say that because you know what, you may not see me here, there, here, that, you know, everywhere, because we, like we stated at the last show, we do a lot of community work. We really, really do. And so it's natural. But the thing is that doing that work behind the scenes and seeing the results, to me, that is literally priceless. It's priceless simply because we don't do it for the pats on the back, things of that nature. We do it simply because it's the right thing to do. And that goes back, I think, to our ethics. It's just the right thing to do. If you don't see helping people or serving people as the right thing to do, well, that's a whole nother conversation. But but I like that aspect of serving. I really wanted to just say that simply because there are a lot of things that we do behind the scenes that, you know, we're not showy people. We're servant leaders. And as servant leaders, you don't say, hey, I've done this, look at me. I've done this, look at me. And we know, you know, we have to let individuals know what we're doing. I get that aspect. My point is, it's not for show. We do things simply because it's part of who we are. And it's just an extension of who we are, as is what we do as realtors and what we may do for being an elected official and things of that nature. So I really just wanted to put that out there. We're always working. We're just
Wendy,
genuine.
if I could jump in. So what gives us gratification? I mean, we all have bills to pay, so getting a paycheck, you know, that serves a purpose for sure. I cut my teeth in the restaurant business before I got into real estate. And obviously the paycheck was nice every 2 weeks or every week, depending on where I was working at the time, because that's how I paid my bills. But, you know, I've been in the kitchen on a Friday night where I had 50 tickets, you know, and we're over there getting our butts kicked. And we're putting out the food as fast as we can. We've got to be precise. We've got to cook it right. It's got to taste right. It's got to look right. So after that dinner rush,
thank you.
You go out to get a quick 30-second break and you take a peek out into the dining room and you see a full dining room and there's families and people on a date and they're happy and they're content. There's a instant gratification there that if you've never done that, you have no idea what that feeling is like. And it's the same thing in real estate. I mean, that's how I learned my customer service and my work ethic, work ethic also from my parents, but in the restaurant business. And I've transferred that over to the real estate business. So yes, we work hard, you know, don't get a salary. We wait until the deal is consummated and completed. Both clients hopefully are happy, and then we get a commission. Mm-hmm. And that's a whole nother thing in itself. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but if you've never worked in a commission-based industry, that's survival of the fittest, man. It takes a special breed of people that they go to work. I think my first year when I went into real estate, it was June or July before I closed my first deal. So you work 6 or 7 months before you get that first paycheck. That's a whole different deal. But in addition to being at the closing table or being at the table where we signed the lease, and I know there's a commission coming, is when that client, that gratification and that just joyous occasion that they feel. So you mentioned earlier, like home ownership builds that generational wealth. The next step, if somebody is going to be an entrepreneur, is instead of leasing, owning their own real estate where they're going to operate their business. And to be a small part of that, that's a gratification that commission will never amount to. Now, I can't pay my bills with that gratification. I need the money to pay the bills.
The commission is fleeting, but the feeling stays with you.
That's what makes me tick.
That's right.
Yeah.
Antonio, you were going to say, oh, sorry.
Yeah. Deno, you hit my heartstrings. Let me say this really quick. When you were talking about the tickets and all of that, if my eyes look glossy, I'm sorry. You hit something, because I say this, don't ever look at someone's now without considering the then. I remember as well working at McDonald's, and this is nothing about the service industry, working there and being joked. And there was a commercial back then. I can't remember the guy's name, Calvin or something. They used to say, look at Calvin back there. Oh, he went to school now and all of that. And when you said that, it just brought back those memories of how, you know, people would make fun of you. Oh, you're doing, not knowing that it was a path to something greater, and you're making sacrifices. And they have a tendency to look at now, well, you're doing okay to me. You did not see the then. Not that you had to,
And don't be ashamed of McDonald's.
That's
McDonald's
it.
produced more leaders than any company
Exactly.
in the
That's
world.
my whole point. I want somebody to know this. I didn't wake up again just want to be a realtor. God had a purpose for that, and I saw that, and it was just in another arena for me to serve. But when you said that about seeing those tickets, people need to realize, you know, and I think Peter spoke on this earlier, when they think, and you did too, Wendy, about they see these millions of sales, and hey, assume that you have X, Y, and Z. Well, if they do or if they don't, that's not the purpose. The thing is, there was a then before the now, and that then actually prepares us to do what we're doing as realtors and serving. So when we serve individuals that don't have what some others have, we're not disconnected. We have been through those things.
Mhm.
All right. So I just want to say that. So Peter, Deno, you just hit my heartstrings. I gotta be quiet now.
I wish, first of all, everyone were watching this show right now, only because you could see the passion of Antonio while he's talking. I mean, it is just, he could not block it physically. He was so passionate.